waifus, trade fights for better views. We both need something new. Maybe we should just tell them.
Hello, hive-minded readers, and welcome to the Books and the Bees podcast. Just like bees play a crucial role in pollinating flowers and sustaining life, books pollinate minds and nurture the soul. We see the connection between the two, the delicate dance of ideas and stories that enrich our lives.
I'm Hailey.
And I'm Cody.
Welcome to our podcast.
Hello, Hailey.
Hello.
Hello, episode 56?
56.
56, almost to 60.
Yeah. We're almost to retirement age.
Almost to retirement age.
Unless they keep moving it.
We won't get to retire.
JK, LOL.
Yeah. How you doing, Hailey?
I'm doing.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yep. How are you?
Yep. I'm also doing.
Yeah.
We chatted a little bit before we started recording, but I had a pretty busy week, and now I actually get to have the weekend off. It's Friday as we're recording, so kind of nice for that. But yeah, we've both been kind of busy in the work grind.
Mm-hmm. Always on that grind.
Always got to get that money.
We do got to get that money. You wake up, get that money.
Wake up, get that money. Yeah. I went into work early today too. Like I was in work at 7:30 getting ready.
I'm at work by 7 every day.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Jeez. When do you leave?
I leave the house at 6 or 6:15.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm up.
When do you leave work?
By 5. Huh? I leave work at 3:30.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Still though, that's kind of yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't hate that, but
yeah. I say 3:30, but I'm salary, so I actually don't leave at 3:30. I usually leave at like closer to 4 most days.
I'm also salary, so
yeah.
It sucks.
I know. No overtime. No overtime allowed.
But I mean, it's probably different for you, but I get to go in whatever I want, basically. Like, I usually do go in between like 8 to 5 or so. I usually work like 8 to 4 because I don't really take a lunch or anything.
Yeah.
But I could go in at like noon and stay till like 8 if I wanted to. But yeah, I don't do that.
I kind of could as well. I really should be in the office before like 8 or 9 in the morning. But I do have like that grace period where like if I work a 4-hour shift kind of, then I don't have to put in PTO for the day that I worked.
Oh, I see.
Or the hours that I missed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy, but I always end up staying late or like working overtime like hella, or like having to go back in. Like a couple weeks ago I stayed and I had a board meeting that I had to go to, and that was from like 5 to like 7 p.m. and I think I ended up staying in that meeting until like 6:30. So
yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's like they basically own me at this point.
Yep. Gotta love the corporate greed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because I work for a hospital, a non-profit hospital.
Oh, yeah.
So we're not even like technically corporate, but we do pretty well for ourselves. So
yeah, well, it's good,
and we help people.
Good, yeah, it's good that you're helping people. For
sure.
Yeah.
I do work in finance though, so like, yeah, I'm like the seedy underbelly of the healthcare world.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Hospitals have to earn.
Yeah,
they got to get paid.
We got to keep the lights on and make sure that we can pay
on
for like the services that we provide for our patients. So
yeah,
I don't think people understand that piece.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true. Yeah, it's good that not-for-profit hospitals.
Yeah,
definitely not the for-profit ones.
Yeah, and I don't want to say too much about my hospital, but because I don't want people to figure out where we are, but we are.
Yeah, where exactly do you work, Hailey? Like, what's the
Give us the exact location? What's your address, actually? Joke's on you! I'm not on campus. Haha.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been a good week. it's been kind of weird weather-wise here. We've had like 60-degree weather, and then we had one day where it was 30.
Ooh.
And then the next day was back up to 60.
Shit.
So pretty crazy.
Wow, that is crazy. We have snow.
I heard.
Yeah.
I actually heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we got snow.
Are you excited for it?
I love snow.
I hate snow.
I love it. I love it so much. Well, because, like, I was just talking about this with a coworker, but, like, and, I mean, obviously we know because global warming, but, like, growing up, like, we had snow anywhere between, like, October and, like, March. And we'd have snow. Sometimes even April. And we were like, holy crap, that's a really, like, snowy year. It was a bad winter. But now, like, I mean, it has literally barely snowed this whole winter, and it's just now snowing, and it's February, which is sad. It makes me sad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of grew up in the same-ish area.
Yeah.
Not, like, the same state or anything, but the same vibe.
Yeah, climate.
Of, like, ecology. Yeah, same climate. That's the word I'm looking for. Climate. Taken biology for like 12 years of my life, and I couldn't come up with the word climate, but yes, and I do remember the winters when I was a kid, and it's way different now.
Yeah, it's very different.
Here, so on Wednesday, the day it was cold, there was like a chance of freezing rain / snow, and we really just got a bunch of rain, and they still delayed schools till like 10 a.m.
Wow.
And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're delaying school because of rain? Like, that's pretty silly. But, I mean,
silly.
Whatever.
We're like, back in my day, I used to walk up and down the hill 5 ways to Sunday with a potato in my pocket.
Yep, that's true. Definitely. The potato part's very good. It's very accurate.
You know. As us olds do.
Yep, so true. But I feel like it was so much harder for us to get snow days.
It was.
Than it used to be.
It was.
Yeah.
They didn't give a fuck. They were like, sorry, we'll just do like alternate bus routes.
Yeah. Like, sorry, you'll just have to walk to school, you know?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep. Well, do you know what I'm not sorry for?
No.
The books we're reading right now. Should we get into it?
Yes. Let's do it.
Hailey, do you want to start with what you're reading?
Sure.
Okay.
I got nothing.
Yay. Sounds like such a great book.
Yeah, it's actually this really fantastic tale about this girl who like works so like ridiculously long hours, and she has no joy in her life, so she just comes home after her long days of work and lays down instead of like picking up books. It's kind of like a satirical anthology on life and how we want to do the things we want to do, but we can't because capitalism.
That's so impactful. I think this is like an Oprah book pick for sure.
Definitely a New York Times bestseller for sure.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Well, since you're not reading anything, are you like playing games? I know you have a game you particularly like to play. I don't know if we talked about it on the pod or not. Yep. Are you playing that game? Are you like what are you doing?
Yeah, I have been playing a little bit of Sims. That's my game of choice. Classic. Sims 4 on the Xbox, which like I don't get to do any of like the fun cheats or anything because you like literally can't in Xbox. But I did just buy a new pack, and I bought a gaming. It's one of the kits. And for those of you that don't speak Sim language, or gaming language for that matter.
Simlish, I believe the language is.
Yes, yes, exactly. Lieb, Lurfa, Lieb, or whatever the fuck. I don't remember. It's like Lieb, Lurfa, Lurb or something.
Oh my god.
It like shows on the screen. That's why I know what that is. But anyways, they had a gaming kit, so like an expansion pack type situation. And it was really cool because, it's a bunch of gamer stuff and like things that you can decorate your house with.
So your Sims can play games now? Video games?
No. They,
Oh,
I mean, they
okay,
can.
okay.
They can. So in the base game, that's a thing. But and I think that there's also like one of the packs comes with like a gaming console that you can do and like use to play games. No, it's really cute. It comes with like a bunch of like furniture items. This sounds so stupid, but it comes with a bunch of like furniture items, and they're all like gamer girl themed. So they have like cute headphones and like cute little signs and shit, and like a gamer chair and like a desk setup.
Okay.
And, yeah,
that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, that's a fun time.
I was picturing like a weird. What's that portrait where like it's a guy painting a guy, painting a guy, painting a guy, painting a guy? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I was thinking this like is like
meta
you.
as fuck.
Yeah, and it's like you're playing a Sims game where the Sims character's playing a game that could be Sims.
No, they
like,
they do. No, that's like a thing.
Why.
No, they have in The Sims 4, and I don't know about the other Sims, but in The Sims 4, there is a computer game that is like a Sims game. So your sim plays
That's
the Sims.
crazy.
It's fucking
That's
weird,
crazy.
man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I do in my spare time. I was trying to get into Cute, but I'm not. There's nothing wrong with the book. I just am not in the mood, I guess, for that particular book.
Totally get it.
Yep.
Totally get it.
Yeah. So enough about me. What are you reading?
So I will say, because I talked about it a lot, I finished Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, and I'm just going to say I didn't feel like it was worth the read.
Oh, shit.
Which is kind of sad.
Aw.
And maybe I'm just not getting it. Like, I felt like when I was reading this book, I wasn't getting immersed into it, and I just didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
So I'm just not picking up on the impactfulness of it, but I really felt like this book could have been skipped outside of like 2 things that happened. So I'm kind of disappointed with it. I have probably decided I'm not going to read the next book unless something major changes, but kind of disappointed with it, have to say.
I heard that from a few people, like online, that I follow. I've seen some people talk about how they didn't like the book.
I haven't gotten the vibe from TikTok yet about like what people are thinking about it, so I should see. Book Talk has changed for me. Well, I feel like the Book Talk I'm seeing right now, it's actually nice, and I should have maybe pulled out a couple of creators for this week because it's going to be our Black History Month week, which we're really excited about. But I have seen so many more creators that are Black just talking about books that they're reading, and it's so nice because there's one, I should find it, maybe I'll find it for later today, but she's a TikToker, and she tells you how much she liked the book based on how big she smiles.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's a really fun way. I love her videos. I think they're so fun. And I didn't discover her until after the ban.
Wow.
So now I don't see like straight book reviews. I just see people talking about the books they read.
That's cool.
And it's usually like 6 at a time. So haven't seen a lot of Onyx Storm. Haven't seen a lot of like the Sarah J. Maas creator like people, you know? So,
Yeah, I want to pick your brain so bad about how like good the book was or bad the book was, or
but the book was like mid,
Aw.
Mid, I'd say.
On a scale of like 1, like your worst book you've ever read, to like the best, most fantastical book you've ever read, where would you throw this book?
Probably, I would say around the middle, I think.
Okay.
I can actually tell you my Caw pile number if you want.
Ooh, yeah. I forgot that was like a thing.
Which is my new favorite thing, by the way. So if you remember, Caw pile is an acronym that basically helps you rate books. C stands for characters. I put that as a 7, which was okay because like I do most of the characters, so whatever. Atmosphere was 7. The writing was a 6. Did not Wouldn't say I was happy with the writing.
Mm-hmm.
The plot I put as a 7. I think I was being a little generous there. Intrigue was a 6. Sneeze.
I don't know if I've done that on the podcast.
Oh,
In case anyone was wondering, that was a sneeze.
yeah. Intrigue was a 6. Logic was a 6, and enjoyment was a 7.
Okay.
Which turned it into a rating of 6.57 or a 3-star.
Ooh.
Which I feel like
I feel like that's generous.
I think it's a little generous.
Yeah.
That's the lowest book I've rated
Wow.
this year. Yeah.
Dang. Yeah.
So,
That's
unfortunately.
so sad. I really wanted to like this series because I feel like it has potential, but I feel like with that
Yeah.
that second book just, I don't know. Maybe I'll read the
Yeah.
third book and then maybe we can like talk about it and have like an episode.
That'd be good. I think you should try it,
Okay.
honestly,
I'll
just
do
to
it.
see.
I'll do it.
So, let me change the scale for a second because I think Copile sets the 5 as pretty rough.
Oh,
So
okay.
a 5 out of there's a description for it for everyone. A 5 out of 10 is described as mediocre. Basically, for every good thing, there's something bad. So I don't feel like it was a 5.
Yikers.
Isn't that so aggressive?
That is aggressive.
6 is okay. Lots of good things and a fair amount of bad things, but the former prevails. And I think that does track for like if I would put this book at a 6.
Okay.
A 6 out of 10, and I
That's
ranked
fair.
it was a 6.5, so I think I'm right about there. Yeah. So yeah, I finished it. We can maybe talk about that more in detail. And
Yeah.
if listeners read it, I would love to hear what you said. My sister actually really liked it. She talked to me about it. She said she enjoyed it, and we talked about the ending a little bit. I feel like I don't really care about how the book ended, but my sister enjoyed it. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm in the wrong year.
One of my friends who was reading it also said that she really liked it. She said that she really she said that in the first, her words, I hope she doesn't care that I'm saying this, but she said that she thought that more things happened in the first few chapters of this book than what she felt happened in all of the second book. It's quicker paced. And that she likes it more thus far. She hasn't finished it yet, but
Okay. I think that's true. I think she's right about that.
yeah, she said that it was better than the second one for sure. And I was like, oh, okay. Which,
Yeah.
fair.
I don't think it was better than the second for me,
Oh, okay.
but the pacing more happened.
Yeah.
I just felt like I don't think it was very well described what happened. And I don't feel like they addressed the elephant in the room as far as what the cliffhanger was from the book 2 to
gotcha.
book 3. That's my opinion. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. Well, so we did that. Finished it. It's okay. I also am reading a series. It's actually kind of like a separate series because what I didn't realize was I picked up this book called She Who Knows by Nnedi Okorafor, who is an author that I've heard a lot of. I've only read one book by her before, quite a few years ago. And I keep hearing about this series, so I looked at it and I got the first one, or what I thought was the first one. And it's basically about this futuristic Africa that's kind of like futuristic fantasy style Africa. And this tribe collects salt. Actually, a collection of tribes collect salt from this lake that's dried out. And all the men get this calling in their soul to go collect the ice, or excuse me, the salt, and then bring it back. And that's how they make money for their tribe and stuff like this. Well, one of the daughters of the men also gets the call and goes with her dad and her brothers and kind of upends the society. And it kind of turns into this creation of this woman who develops powers. I'll put it that way, and I don't want to get too much more than that because that's pretty spoilery. And it was really good. It's a novella. It was really quick. And when I started reading it, I read the author's note, and it turns out that this book is based on a previous book that the author wrote called Who Fears Death. And it turns out the main character in Who Fears Death is the daughter of the character I read in She Who Knows.
Wow.
So I kind of read the series in the right order, but they're not actually a traditional series. So now I'm reading Who Fears Death to get the context of the daughter and why it's important to know about the mother's backstory. And so I'm really enjoying it. It's really fun. It's futuristic. African fantasy is kind of a really fun setting that I haven't really explored a lot in a lot of books. So I'm really excited to dive more into it. And yeah, I think it's really good.
Wow. That sounds really good.
It's great. And the covers are beautiful. Nnedi Okorafor has amazing covers. I've always seen her book covers and they're super pretty. So yeah.
Man.
Yeah, very excited.
Wow. Hell yeah.
Yay. But I've also been, I would say my reading has not been, I think Onyx Storm kind of put me in a reading slump. Not going to lie.
Hate that.
Yeah. I know it does. It sucks. But the novella helped, like a short novel for sure.
Yeah.
Helps me spiral out. So.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, should we jump into beekeeping?
Yeah.
So we have one beekeeping item that's not wonderful to talk about, but we're going to anyway, because we love to keep track of book bans here on this podcast to keep everyone apprised of what's happening.
Yep.
And as someone who used to live in Idaho, we've talked about the Idaho book bans that happened last year. We also talked about the Utah book bans. And for those who don't remember, Utah passed a law late last year that says if a book is banned in 3 or more school districts, the book has to be removed from all school districts statewide. Huge, not good thing. Terrible thing. They've then expanded on this now to say the State Board of Education has issued guidance that says students can't even bring personal copies of banned titles with them to school.
Lame.
So not only can they not have it in the library, they can't bring their own copy of it to school, which is pretty crazy.
That's so lame.
Yeah. And they've already had 15 books banned from the state because of this bill. So Utah is doing a terrible job.
Terrible.
Yeah. And thank God. I almost took a job in Utah, and I'm glad I did because I definitely don't want to live in a state that's like this. So, yeah. The neighboring state of Utah, called Idaho, also issued a book ban.
In case you're unfamiliar with their geography.
Yeah, in case you need to look at a map. Let me paint a picture for you. Utah and Idaho are next to each other.
Yeah.
Idaho looks like a gun, and Utah looks like a
Playing
rectangle
card?
with
I
an
don't
extra
know.
bit. Yeah. It's pretty weird looking. So Idaho passed a bill, it was either last year or the year before, where a parent could complain about a book to the librarian, and if it turned out to be inappropriate, then the library would get fined by the state. And I believe the fine's $250, which isn't a lot, but it is enough to affect libraries.
Yeah.
So now libraries in Idaho are responding by either shutting down completely in some cases, or having adults only rooms where books that would be considered quote unquote inappropriate for children are placed where they can't get them, which on the surface sounds like it might be a good idea, except for the fact that there's no way to understand what inappropriate means to anyone because it's way too vague terminology. It's not like we're talking about, you know, the 18 plus section of the video store back in the day. Like, this is a very vague description, and the Bible could be described as inappropriate in a lot of cases, you know. So it's really hard for libraries in Idaho to figure out how to do this. And also, they don't have a lot of space. A lot of libraries in Idaho are small because Idaho's not a very highly populated state, so they don't have very big libraries, and they might just be a one-room library. They have no space to do this. So it's really frustrating.
Bastards. Honestly, my take, hey, don't let your fucking kids walk out with a book that you as a parent think's inappropriate. I don't know.
Yeah.
What a fucking concept.
Maybe be a parent.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe
watch your fucking kids.
It's like the same freaking argument when people are like, oh my gosh, my kid's playing these, like, super inappropriate video games. What's the rating? What's the rating? Yeah. Are they playing a rated...
Who bought it?
An 18-plus video game?
Yeah.
Whose money did they use to go there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who bought that game?
Yeah.
Who hasn't looked at it for 2 weeks that they've owned it?
Yeah.
Like, oh, interesting.
Who didn't, like, look into it or see if it was actually appropriate for your child or not? Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, funny story. This is from a different podcast. So it's from Reading Glasses.
Yeah.
And I don't want to steal their content, but they had a listener send them an email about their daughter. No, hold on. Sorry. A gal had given her friend's daughter a gift card to go to the bookstore, and her friend's daughter bought Heartstopper, that like hockey fantasy that was really popular on Book Talk.
Yeah.
The daughter was 15 or whatever, something like that, and the mom of the daughter got mad at the friend who gave the gift card because her daughter bought Heartstopper. And I was like, why would you be mad at the friend? Like, it's obvious you should have, like, figured out what your daughter's reading if you don't want her to read that.
Yeah. Also, like, I just can't help but think about, it feels like this sounds like I'm such a boomer, but, like, it feels like we're living in such different times, because I feel like when I was that age, listen, we were all on fucking Tumblr doing some not so good shit. Reading.
She's 15. Like, I guarantee she knows what's going on.
Yeah. 4chan. We had 4chan growing up. Like, hello. We had Omegle or whatever you want to call it.
Yes,
like,
Omegle.
I think an inappropriate book is like the least of your problems.
Yeah. Your daughter knows what's up.
Yeah.
Like,
Methinks that she knows a little bit more than you think she does.
Yeah. And honestly, it's reading sex scenes is probably the best form of like that content.
Right?
It's probably the most accurate. It's probably
vetted.
the most like healthy. Yeah. Like, it's weird. It's such a weird thing to be upset about. And my parents did not ever look at anything I did like reading wise. I read Stephen King when I was like 14. That was like the shit that I read. And that stuff is way worse than a romance, I can tell you that. So, yeah.
I was reading Twilight and listening to gangster rap. Like, that was my teenage life in a nutshell.
Yeah. So, let it go.
Yeah. Calm down, people.
Yeah. Calm down.
Let your kids, like, figure shit out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or parent better.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, or parent better. I just don't think I was just thinking about this the other day. If I had kids, I don't think I would stop them from reading anything. I think I would just let them read whatever they wanted. And if they want to talk to me about it, that's great.
Yep.
I don't think I need to limit what my kids read.
Yeah.
Like, if they want to read something like a Hitler memoir, then I say go for it. Like, you know, you got to walk down that road and figure that out, you know?
Yeah, make your own. I think that also forces kids to kind of, like, not only make their own, like, come to their own conclusions, but kind of, like, I think it forms their brains a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, like, when you I'm not saying that, like, your 6-year-old should be watching, like, Criminal Minds like I did growing up. But, like, you know, if I think if you're, like, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, whatever, then, like, I don't see anything wrong with reading stuff that may be a little inappropriate, but, like, see, you know, read it, come to your own conclusion, maybe form some opinions on your own. I don't know.
Totally. Change your opinion. Like,
I'm
a way different person than I am now than I was when I was 18 even, honestly. I would not enjoy my 18-year-old self, I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, I'd bitch slap the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'd be like, you're an ignorant son of a bitch to me. So you got to let that happen. And book banning is not the solution to this at all. It's just it's just going to make kids want to read that stuff even more, and maybe not even have the opportunity to talk about it with people. So
Yeah.
it's just not a good idea.
Yeah.
Boo Utah, boo Idaho.
Boo conservative states. Boo.
Boo. Mostly like low key Mormon states.
Low
Utah and
key.
Idaho,
Low
high
key.
Mormon states.
High key,
Yeah,
low
like-
key. Yeah. 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 Ugh.
Super Mormon states. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Ah. Well, should we
Anyways.
jump into the main event today?
Yeah.
It's Black History Month.
On a lighter
Happy
note,
Black
yeah.
History Month. Yeah.
Woohoo.
I'm so happy. February is such a great month for Black History Month because it's the beginning of the year. So like, I feel like at the beginning of the year, I feel inspired to like diversify my reading and think about, what's happening in the world and try to be the change you want to be.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Black History Month is always one of those months where I'm like, yeah, I really need to like read more Black authors and support, more Black content creators of all, like comedians and directors and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Really lift those voices up.
Especially
for
this year.
sure.
Especially this year. Yeah.
Real hard for this
Yeah.
year. Though, I was seeing, because I saw, not to be totally political or to like bring the tune down a little bit either, but I've been seeing all that like DEI rollbacks, like corporations being like,
Yes.
no, just kidding.
Yep.
And then they come, and then people are like, hell no, I'm not shopping there. And because we have like an ounce of like empathy and like understanding for like what that means, then they bring it back. Like I think Target just did that, and then they're like shocked. We're like, hell no. Like, what the hell do you people think we're gonna do? Be like,
Yeah.
oh yay, no, hell no. Like,
Right.
you put freaking marginalized groups down. Fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so insane how quickly people have turned, and like especially within the government, like it's just like a switch has been flipped and now DEI is gone everywhere.
Yeah.
And now that that's like quote unquote okay by the government, then people who don't have to change are making the change.
Yeah.
And it's just really frustrating because it just shows that it was always there to be a checkbox item and not actually change the world.
Yeah. And like PSA. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, PSA to you ignoramus freaking white women, that means you. That means you.
It's so true.
That DEI part, that's you. You are
Yeah.
also part of that. So like, hello?
Yeah.
Get with the program.
Yeah.
Like
the frustrating part, the biggest frustrating part is, they're taking away like gender care and like DEI, supporting things, and that's terrible. But what they're also doing is like just making life worse for literally everyone who's not a white male billionaire. And the people who are like anti-DEI and anti gender spectrum, whatever, they're like cheering, but what they don't realize is that it's getting worse for them too. They just don't even know it yet. And because they're being blinded by what they didn't want. I was like, come on, you can't be this dumb. Like, they're fooling you. They're fooling you so hard.
they are dumb. That's the thing.
Yep, they are.
That's the trick.
Whew, I'm heated.
Well, let's talk about some and since you're heated, let's talk about some hot, maybe up and coming books.
Yeah, great job.
Thanks.
Great job, Hailey. So Book Riot has actually some amazing articles.
Thank
And
you,
even
Book
before we
Riot.
talk about books that we're excited about, maybe we can highlight this piece that's called Black Literary Movements. And I don't think we want to go through the whole article because it's a little bit lengthy, but it's actually walking through major literary moments for Black individuals, primarily in the United States, starting with slaves doing the best they can to try to learn how to read and to be able to just understand the documents that they were forced to sign, to the Harlem Renaissance,
Hell yeah.
to the Chicago Black Renaissance, the Black Arts Movement, the Black Women's Literary Renaissance. Like, there's some really amazing. Afrofuturism, which I talked about a little bit earlier today. Octavia Butler, who's one of my all-time favorite authors. There's a huge length of history with Black literary moments, basically. And there's still work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still work to do.
You mentioning the Chicago Black Renaissance and, like, you know, the time periods where, you know, marginalized Black communities that, and I just want to pause for a second and just preface, if I'm, like, explaining something that comes across as wrong, that's my bad. Or if I'm saying things in the wrong terminology, again, my bad. But I'm trying to convey it as best as I can, coming from a white individual. But just from, like, what I've read and historical context and stuff. But it reminded me of the book that I read last year during our Black History Month, one of our episodes. And, it was the I think it was like a historical fiction. Bear with me for a second while I go grab it, because it was such a good book, and I don't know why, but us talking about the Chicago Black Renaissance made me think of it, because it was depicting a time where in the early 1900s, when there was, like, communities that were neck and neck, you know, like, monetarily wise, socioeconomic status wise, there we go. But because they were not white, they were marginalized and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like, excommunicated almost from these, like, opportunities and that sort of thing. And it was The Davenports by Crystal Marquis, and it was such a good book. And if anyone wants to read that book, it was really good.
Yeah.
It was set in 1910 with a wealthy Black family. So, and it was set in
great.
Chicago, I think, too.
Oh, fantastic.
Correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah. Just
very cool.
Just a little tidbit. It reminded me. I was like, oh yeah, that was a good book.
Yeah. Yep. If you go through this article, there's a few books that define each era for all of these that I just mentioned. So I would go through and look at that. You know, I'll touch on Afrofuturism a little bit because that's kind of my wheelhouse, I would say, particularly with Octavia Butler. Her work is just so impactful and prescient to the time. I talked about Parable of a Sower like a couple weeks ago with the whole California fires and how she's really just on point with all that. She has a series, I think it's called the Lilith's Brood trilogy, but the first book's called Dawn. So I always just call it the Dawn trilogy. And I think about that series constantly. I read it like 3 years ago, and I still think about this series. And I even talked about Nnedi Okorafor at the top of this episode. She is, I would say, very much into this Afrofuturism space, and her books really kind of feel like in the same wheelhouse as Octavia Butler. So writing about science fiction where things have gone wrong and it affects the minority community, I think is it's really important work, because it really shows what privilege really means and what it means to have privilege and what it means to lose that privilege. I think is something that we should all be learning right now. And, is really important. So I'm very much interested in those types of stories, and they're becoming a lot more popular these days, especially like even for women, with like the overturning of Roe v. Wade and all of this. Like, I've read so much fiction that has spun out from that because of just all the uncertainty that's happening right now.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah,
it's important.
Yeah, so check out this article. It's really good, actually. It's really good. It's a little long, but it's really, really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, in honor of Black History Month, as our listeners, you should take the time to read it. Because
Yes,
it's important.
you should.
Do your due diligence. Read what you can while you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, should we jump into some anticipated books?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So this is also a Book Riot article. So thank you, Book Riot, for doing everything for us
Shout
this
out
week.
Book Riot.
Really appreciate it. We love you. There are some great books on this list. I can point out one right away since we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Nnedi Okorafor has another book coming out. Actually, it already came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Death of the Author, which is about an author who's writing a book and she gets threatened. Yeah. It sounds really good. I haven't read it yet, but I'm really, really excited for it. It's going to be really good. And I actually can't wait to read it. I just want to get my hands on it as quick as possible.
Yeah. Also on this list is the book Needy Little Things by Channelle Desamours. Sounds French.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. But and it's a YA. It says it's a YA mystery, which I try to steer clear of YA. But I really like the cover. I like the title. And I don't know. I think it looks good. It looks like
it does look
good book.
Yeah, no, it does. It's a beautiful cover too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I really like the art of it. It's nice.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't know what kind of art, like what genre of art, because that is not my forte, but
yeah,
it's cool.
I also think this Just Our Luck by Denise Williams looks really good. It looks like a beautiful it's the illustrated romance cover. It looks like they're running a bakery with this.
Something.
So it looks really, really good.
These look like donuts in the background. I'm here for it. On the book
Fake
cover.
dating a donut shop owner and a winning lottery ticket.
Oh, hell
All
yeah.
the wins. Yeah, that sounds really good. That sounds really cute.
Ugh, sounds like the book that I need to read, like, immediately.
I know, yeah. That's it. That looks like such a cozy book. It comes out in March.
Ugh,
so
can't wait.
keep your toes on for that. And then I love cookbooks, and they have a cookbook on this list called Ghana to the World, Recipes and Stories that look forward while honoring the past by Eric Adjepong, I believe. Oh, and Korsha Wilson. Cookbooks are so fun for me.
So fun.
I love cookbooks. I wish I could afford to buy every cookbook that I wanted because they're pretty expensive, obviously, but I just love looking at them. I love reading them. I think they're so fun. And we don't talk about cookbooks very often. We should maybe do that as an episode.
We should. I would love that because I have
that'd be really
pretty
fun.
Cool. I'd have to go into my storage unit and grab them, but I have a pretty cool like cookbook collection.
I do too, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'd say mine's kind of cool, but yeah.
Yeah. And
they're fun.
I've never actually had, at least I don't think I have, had like African like food. But I always see I think it's called like fufu, and I want to try it so bad. It's like, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, because I've seen it mostly in like YouTube videos and like a couple TikToks where they're eating. Actually, I also saw it in one of the like dating shows on Netflix. I can't remember which one, so like don't quote me, but they were like eating with a family or something, and they like brought in like their cuisine or something. I can't remember, but it's like a ball of like dough, kind of is what it looks like, and you eat it, you like pick it with your hands, and then you like use it as like a grabbing of like the whatever meat, like stew, essentially. Also, my apologies, I'm just some uncultured white girl, okay, like who just really enjoys. Fun fact about me is I love food. I'm a big foodie. I love trying new cuisine. I love trying other cultures' cuisine. I'm a big proponent on like the world would be a much better place if we all just fucking sat down and like, and I know this sounds so fucking white privilege, but like if we all sat down and just like took a second to like eat each other's food, and just enjoy
Yeah.
a meal together.
I agree.
I think that food really brings people together, which sounds so stupid, but it's
I agree. I totally agree with you.
I think it's a thing.
Yeah.
Because like I have a lot of friends who come from cultures that like love to feed people and like growing up trying other people's food and like coming over and like getting to experience that like togetherness and their cultures and their foods and like be a part of that and their families, their grandmas, their, you know, moms cooking for you and like giving you a meal, I think is like so impactful. And it changes you the way you view other people. So that's why I say like I think that food brings people together. But anyways, yeah, it just looks so good and like I love flavorful food. So
yeah,
you know,
me too.
So
yeah. I had a coworker at my previous job who his parents were born in Ghana, and he talked about the food that his mom would make, and it was like it just sounded really good. And I wish I could remember all the stuff he told me about. So this cookbook I think would be really good because it would probably like help me figure out all the stuff that his mom made for him.
Yeah.
And I love same thing we do. I love eating food from other cultures. I've had Ethiopian food before, which was really good, but I've never had Ghanaian food before. So I would love to check out this cookbook. I think it looks great. The cover looks beautiful. It looks so good. Yeah.
We have a gal and her family at our farmer's market, and she does like real soul Southern cooking. And, I think
we have a lot of that here actually.
Yeah, oh, I imagine.
Yeah.
And I think her husband's Jamaican, and oh my God, when I tell you that woman's peach cobbler is probably the best peach cobbler I've ever had in my entire life, and I lived in the Midwest for a hot minute, like so. Yeah. I
love peach cobbler.
Oh my God, and like. And she does like barbecue. She does lots like ribs and freaking chicken, like you name it, she does it. And oh my God, so good. And like, yeah, that like soul food part. Oh, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Freaking. Sometimes I like because she obviously the farmer's market is seasonal, and she's only open sometimes. And I think she does like a catering business too. And I wish I could shout her out, but it would totally give away my location. But I love her. She, like, I wish I could, like, get everyone to try her food. Because it's that freaking good. Like, it's that good. Oh, man.
Okay, we definitely need to have a cookbook episode.
Yes.
Coming to you very soon, probably. Cookbook episode. And I was just thinking, there's other books on this list too. I think we pulled out the ones that we're like really excited about, but there's a few more on here that look really good too. And Goodreads also has a great list coming out. Like they had like 100, so feel free to check out those as well. But you know, I was just thinking about, I just moved to Virginia not that long ago. And I basically live in the shadow of Thomas Jefferson's house. Like you can see it from basically the whole town.
Wow.
And it is really wild because he was obviously a president who was very impactful to our country, but he had so many slaves, and he had Sally Hemings, who he had children with that he did not recognize as his own children. You know, was not great to black people. And the school that I'm associated with had slaves that helped build the school. And so I think one of the things that I want to do this month is read like a book that's associated with all of the slavery that happened in the town that I'm in, and really just kind of learn about that history a little bit more, because it's not something that in Idaho, obviously, it wasn't a state when all this stuff was happening. And so it's not really part of Idaho's culture. But this is something that I definitely want to learn more about now that I'm here in Virginia.
Yeah, there's something to be said about living, and if you're listening to this and you don't know the U.S., like, the states that Cody used to live in, and then the one that I live in, I'm sure that there's probably some like Wild West shenanigans happening, I'm sure, as far as like slavery goes and whatnot. But we don't, like, I feel like those states, like the Pacific Northwest, really doesn't have that like rich history, or bad history, associated with as much. There, trust me, we still have our fair share of bad shit that we did. But there's something to be said about like living on that side of the US, like even just in the Midwest. There's a lot more history, and there's a lot more it's a lot more dense with like that like culture and that like historical piece that you don't really think about until you're living there, and you're like, oh shit. Like, now we have like actual monuments that are like this old that were that are still up today, and you're like, oh, you know, I don't know, it just puts things into perspective. Like my house,
it does,
that I have still in Illinois, we my neighbor, he is part of the historical society, and they do Underground Railroad tours through our historical neighborhood, because one of my house was in the historical neighborhood. And to like think about that, like he told us that, and I was like, oh my god, like to think that I lived in a house that was in the neighborhood where they were helping like get slaves out from the Underground Railroad, like, you know, helping them get to freedom. Is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, we're obviously American centric here. There's a lot of dark history for Black individuals in our country, like historically and currently. Like there's still a lot that's happening. So reading books is a good way to get a little bit of that knowledge into your head and, you know, become more aware and more humble to the fact that such shitty things happen to people for literally no reason besides the fact that they looked different than the people who were in charge at the time.
Yeah.
No,
for sure. So while you can, make sure you're supporting Black authors or of any book. I mean, cookbooks, nonfiction books, historical books, fiction books, romance books. Pick a freaking genre. Other creators, artists, music. I mean, freaking
historical societies that carry those stories. Like that's important too.
Those are so important. So important.
So it's always good for this month to come around, because it does really make us reflect more and try to be better. So I recommend all our listeners do that as well.
Hell yeah.
If you have recommendations for us on things we should read for Black History Month, or maybe things we should talk about on the podcast for Black History Month, you can email us booksandbeespod@gmail.com. If you want to Instagram with us, you can do that at booksandthebeespod. We would also love it if you would give us a 5-star review on your podcast listening app, whatever that might be. Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, maybe soon. Still waiting for them to get back via email on whether or not we're good or not. So there's nothing else I can do but wait for them to respond to our email. So hopefully that'll be soon. So thank you for being patient with that. And I want to give a shout out to the American Nnedi for the use of their song Rendezvous. It's the intro and outro to our podcast, and it is a bop. So we want to thank them as always.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And thank you, listener.
Yeah. You're out here surviving. Good for you. Or thriving. You're thriving. I am proud of you.
I hope you're thriving. I really do. I hope all of our listeners out there are thriving.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
I think we're ready.
All right. Well, with that, we hope you enjoyed this journey as much as we did. If you're buzzing with excitement, don't forget to subscribe, email us, and leave a Hive 5-worthy review on your podcast listening app. Until next time, happy reading, and may your shelves be filled with tales as enchanting as a blooming garden. Keep the buzz alive. Catch you in the next chapter. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.